All right, what's up, everybody? This is a very special episode of Enlightened Masculinity. I don't even know if I'll post it because we're going to go into some secret stuff that is just for insiders. So it may just be posted as an unlisted video for the inner circle IMC guys. It may be that we just clip some clips from it. But I thought it was a really good idea to touch base with Tony K and Diamond Bevell. Is it Bevell or Bevel?
It's Bevell.
Yeah, that's how I figured how it's spelled. Bevell from UK, and Tony K is from Wisconsin. Tony K has been apprenticing, and I give a shout out to all the apprentices, the staff members basically of IMC Nation that make it run. There's basically two tribal leaders that are leading guys in terms of business, maybe two and a half. All right, I could briefly give like a little structure. I have 8 guys that do stuff for me. Tony is responsible for posting all the podcasts on Enlightened Masculinity. So if you're listening to this on Enlightened Masculinity podcast, every single episode was posted by Tony. So that's Tony K Kickstart Cash on Instagram. And so I give a little shout out in that group for, who wants to talk about apprenticing. And there'll be a bunch of guys on tomorrow. They couldn't make it today. Tony was the one guy that could make it today. Right after he says I could make it, Diamond does a thing that he's done 2 or 3 times now. That is a certain initiative that I admire because I also did it myself and do it myself. There's just some initiative that came down to, hey, who in United Kingdom wants to base up? That was the first initiative. Then the next one was everybody had just signed up for Animal Magnetism Beast Camp. Y'all should sign up too. And he posted that in the IMC Europe Telegram group. There's like 20 Europeans in IMC Nation that are practicing IMC Nation. IMC Nation touches a lot of people. A lot of people watch the free YouTube, but when it comes to paying for it, that's like 300. And then he just like right when Tony K said, I'll be on the show today, like a minute later, Diamond posted in the Europe group, here are some changes that I've gone through from the Animal Magnetism event. And he lists like 3 things. And he's like, what other changes have you guys had? And I'm like, man, this guy should be on the show also because he's going through changes. Tony's going through big changes. And that was essentially what I was going to title the episode if I posted it. One of the apprentices found like all these wordings. I'm shifting calling them apprentices. I want to call them like staff members. So one of the staff guys is he found all these like word combinations for titles that do better. So better titles. One of them was from blank to blank. So whatever would fill in the blank. So I was thinking of like from sheep to wolf or from prey to predator. And then a keyword that we use is successful in all the episodes is communication as a word. So somehow working that in the communication from prey to predator, or differences in communicating as a prey or predator. No, it's totally different language there. So basically that's the theme that I was going to go with. But really I wanted to talk with Tony about his experience apprenticing. And Diamond's in on the mix, so I wanted to talk about he's going through changes there in UK remotely over a great distance from Arash and going through changes. And so talking about that, and then I'm sure the mastermind will kind of get taken away. Sorry, I said I was going to give you some structure. So 8 guys work with me, and they do all the podcast posting, the website for IMC Base One, the accounting for when people sign up for camps. Lots of other stuff, research as is needed, video clipping, and more is being added. Like there's things, just background stuff. Oracle is another man, and he actually pays the guys. I don't pay the guys. He pays a bunch of guys to do stuff, but he's building something and he has the money to invest in something like that. Here's how I've done it is just, grit my teeth and put some elbow grease into it and keep producing and give everything I have and live like a monk. And, the reward is in the action, but I like money. Anyway, it's he's the businessman, I'm the monk. And he's leading like 6 or 8 guys, and they're doing all kinds of big moves with business. And we'll see as that comes to fruition. Like, let's say, for example, here in the podcast, it hasn't blown up as a podcast. Like I'm not have 1 million listeners where all the business is coming into the podcast. It's really, when you look at it in certain statistical measures of it, it's kind of a drain. It's an energy drain, it's a money drain to do the podcast. But it does have these side benefits. It does pull guys in. It does feed information and exchange value and does get discovered a little bit. And it does sharpen all of our skills. Tony's got a position and he's sharpened his skills on what he does. And we'll talk about that. Like, Tony, how much has apprenticing affected your discipline or affected anything of your lifestyle? Like, be real. Like, what's changed in order to succeed and thrive as an apprentice? You're not just in your first month or first year, you're in your second year, and nobody lasts 2 years. You know, I'm hard. There's no pay. I'm just using you, but it's, what's rewarding about it for you, and what have you had to change in yourself to continue to do it, if anything?
Host Captain Chris, Jay Gurudev, Arash Divazar. Oh man, where do I start? I'm getting chills right now, and that's a good sign. Rest in peace to my grandma, Helen Kasmiski. Actually, it was towards the end of her funeral where I'm on my phone checking, because sometimes I'm like, oh, let's see what Chris has got going on. Hey, who can do a live Zoom with me? One of the apprentices or staff members. And that feeling of not wanting to do it was right there. The same feeling I get before Papa Bird pushed Baby Bird out of the nest when I came for my first beast camp last May in San Jose. And I caught myself. I'm like, oh, I know this feeling. Bam, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And oh God, it feels so good. I tell you what.
Nice.
What's that?
I say nice.
Yeah. One of the benefits I'd say, and it's been a roller coaster ride for both of us probably, because there's many times where rule number one, double check your work, and I still make mistakes. And thank you, Chris, for your patience with me. That has set a good example for me to have patience with our up and coming newcomers that I'm seeing. I'm like, okay, I remember how Chris handled my situation. I'm going to be respectful and handle this situation with this person, because as much as I want to stay where I'm at as an apprentice or staff member, I see this opportunity as me taking on someone taking on my roles, where now I feel like you want me to take it up a notch, kind of do what you're doing, have my own show. And it's,
will you have your own show? Do you have an IMC TV show?
I actually do. It's called Beyond Clarity. I can share the Telegram group in here if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it'll go in the episode description too, and all the guys definitely should be on if you post it in here.
And one of our IMC Nation brothers actually reminded me, I was one of the first to start my own Telegram group when you and AZD called upon us, and that feeling of nervousness and anxiousness, and no, I'm not good enough. Who am I? And then I stopped posting, and then one of our brothers, Oracle, Jose Raul Cervantes, called on me. He's like, TK, where you been? You stopped posting. I'm like, what? I'm like, you of all people? And I say this for myself, but everyone here, someone out there needs to hear your version of your story from you. There's no holding back. You may only have one person right now watching you, but that's why I say keep showing up, because there's been plenty of times where I wanted to quit. That even when I first started, some of you thought I was going to get kicked out. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm done with that story. I'm here. This is like a lifelong thing. I'm approaching my 20 years in the Air Force National Guard, and I may not look like it, but I'm still in. And it's very humbling, because now I feel like I'm part of a brotherhood and a service where I get to choose who I serve with, where I serve with, and how does that go? How I serve, where I serve, and most importantly, who I serve with. And I got that right here, because they wanted me to take something that I didn't want to take. And my career is still on the line, actually. My first sergeant just sent me an email and followed up with me. I don't want to share too much on that, but you pretty much know what I'm talking about. And here, there's this thing called IMC Nation, where no proof of vax, no masks. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous right now. I'm more excited than anything, because I'm freely, authentically sharing myself.
And it's really true about the vax and the mask. And it's interesting. I never thought how those words are similar, but somebody was asking me not long ago, it was two girls, and I was talking, and I basically said something like, and they were kind of shocked. I remember when I had to repeat it with more clarity, that I was surprised that they didn't get what I was saying, but I saw the difference. They're outside of IMC Nation, so how would they know? And it was basically something like none of us wore masks. There's 300 guys at the top of the movement. None of us wore masks, and none of us got a vaccine except for Demigod, and he's phasing back into the military service, and who knows what his future with IMC is. And it's not like we live to anti-vax. It's just we live and we didn't want to get a vax. And since there was suppression about it, we were vocal about it. And then they censor us. And so it became a whole thing, but I wasn't trying to make it a whole thing. It's like, anyway.
That's one reason what attracted me to come out and see you guys after my deployment. Because when I was overseas, wearing masks inside, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names or ranks, but a high-ranking individual I respected walking down the street with a mask on by himself, and then I'm attending Beast Camps live online, and I see you guys together, no mask, you're all together working out real close. I'm like, yeah, this is where I want to be. So thanks again, Chris, for following up with me.
Man, that's great. Yeah, the cowardliness of that, the mind washing, like it's like AZD taught, loyalty being the highest quality, because if you're strong, one day your strong will be used against me. If you're smart, one day your smarts will be used against me. If you don't have loyalty, whatever your powers are will one day be used against me. Straight AZD teaching from ancient, Eastern philosophy. And so whatever that admiral, general, captain, whatever that ranking guy was, however strong and great leader he was and skilled at being a military man he was a brainwashed idiot, scaredy cat. And that's going to be used for the enemy. So I actually don't admire those things.
No, and another thing too, since we're on that topic, I don't want to take too much time. After the voting and the inauguration, he said, don't post anything on social media. And this was like a year after I saw you, Oracle, and AZD posting all this stuff, where I'm like, who am I to not be sharing this? And I was getting some kickback from family, friends, former leaders in the Landmark program I used to be in. And I was thinking, like, how could you not see what's going on here? Like, don't you get it? Like, okay, I'm just going to do my time, take my retirement. And
yeah, you're a predator. They're prey, and not in a bad sense. And they'll use those words against you, but it's, they're sheep. They're wide-eyed. They're looking laterally. They're bat when the others bat, and that's how they keep each other safe, is because they count on everyone to bat, and then the weakest gets picked off. Versus a wolf pack, the weakest never gets left behind.
Yeah, and they were family men. Their careers were on the line. Yes,
sure.
Sir.
I get it. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I respect that, but you know what? You can take it. I told my commander, I was like, you can take everything my 19 years I rightfully earned. I'm not getting it. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, IMC Nation.
Yeah, because you're good. You're good to go. And I want to talk about the changes you're making if you're open to talking about that. But we'll just hand it over to Diamond Bevell. You were talking like, this upcoming training that's happening, animal magnetism, and it's been going on like every night. And then there's the main event. It's on August 19, 2021. And, you've been consistent for like 5 or 6 months, coming to all the events online. They're in UK, and you're saying that things are changing with your character, and what I'm seeing is, like I said, this initiative that other people aren't doing. They may be attending more or less, but they're not as consistent as you, and they're I see differences in your communication. Because I only know you as what I read, what you write, and then a couple of times we've spoken back and forth. So I'm interested in, expanding on, what's been going on with you. Like, are you starting to feel bigger shifts in you from the IMC teachings?
Just checking to see that you can hear me, right? Because my connection is weak.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
We got you. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the shifts and the changes, what I've been finding is just not so much caring about the noise that comes from outside, focusing more on the sounds that I hear from inside, and then just growing with that.
Yeah, and that's been what noticeable changes has that brought about? Like, what have you noticed is different?
Not caring so much about the opinions of others, and it's like finding what works for me, as opposed to what works for others, because like we have a fingerprint. Even though we have fingers, we have an index finger, each fingerprint is different. And it's just about finding that uniqueness that we have inside of us. And for me, the uniqueness is combining elements, maybe like poetry, music, leadership roles, and then just realizing that they're not so much when I'm in this environment, it's this, or just poetry. It's how they all feed into each other and they actually in. And I feel like that's the biggest difference that is all made for me.
I'm trying to grab it together. So it should be known, you're I guess you would call it like a stand-up poet. Is that what you call it?
Or stand-up poet, a impromptu poet, so I can do impromptu on the spot. Also do writing as well. So
yes, you're a writer, an impromptu poet, stand-up poet, and so you're seeing differences where you're just like putting your life together with leadership roles and poetry and music and not caring about other people's opinions. So are you seeing yourself like be more bold and take more risks? Things that you wouldn't have done before?
Yes. I say yes more.
I say yes more.
Like even showing it up here as well, just thinking, because for those of you who aren't aware, at the time now in the UK is 20 past midnight. So just being up here, being here, just saying, yes, I'm going to be here, going to be speaking, going to be sharing my experience.
Right on. And what time is your wake up?
Wake up is 6 a.m., but I'm usually up around 5-ish.
Right on. So we have a roll call group.
As well.
There's like 100 guys in the roll call group, and you never miss your wake up. So that's some dedication. That's, I've been thinking about that. I was even thinking of shifting my podcast time from 5 p.m., which is when I would normally do it when I do it, to earlier before Dragon's Lair at 9 a.m. when I do it. So maybe I may be doing that so that, the Europeans and more of the guys can tune in, because I think the 5 p.m. is really only catering to the Americans. And I know people in India and Australia and then the Europeans, everybody could make it if it was at 9 a.m. It's just that's like a good business time for me in Pacific time because everybody's ahead of me in time. So 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is like, those are my prime business hours because that's when most of the people are still in business hours. But, podcast is business. This is business. These are all the guys here. This is IMC Nation. So, maybe I'll look at that being in the schedule so we can get more conversations going about this because, getting clarity, like, how you're changing is really good for the audience, for me, for you to get the words on it and, get a handle of this thing and how, change is happening. And so what's the story with the UK base, man? We got to get some guys around, get excited about it. What's different about you over the other UK guys? Why do you get so invested in this versus the other guys? Is it like, because you're already a poet and you're so into words, like, are you getting it more? Or like, is it just that you want it more?
I feel it's through attending the camps, because I've been fortunate enough to attend the camps since, I think it was February this year. So just being on every single one. And the more that I've attended, the more that it's grown and I've understood the learnings and they've become more part of me as opposed to like taking notes and writing things down. And it's just finding the way that it interconnects with me. And I feel like that's the difference.
There's some difference about you that's finding the connection, that's making the connection between you and the teachings. Because the other guys have all taken a camp at least once, except for one guy. And, so it didn't stick with them as much, but I don't know. So I think there's something in you that's very different. And it's not just finding the connections. It's like, why are you finding the connections? Is that intelligence or desire, or I don't know. But I want to talk about the future of you also in a minute after I get to TK, because TK I know is making changes in his career, like he was just talking about with the military. And, I think it's really, really interesting. TK, you're in I think your high 30s in age, something like that.
Just turned 39.
39, and shifting occupations, but potentially still pulling retirement from the military. And if not, then whatever. But probably it doesn't matter. So that would be an accomplishment. It's an accomplishment anyway. Listen, I had 2 varsity letters in Oklahoma wrestling. the University of Oklahoma, Division I, and I had the most pins on my team that last year. And I had one more year of eligibility, but I quit. And I actually didn't get my second letter because the coach kicked me out of the banquet because me and him were going through it, an argument, and he had actually kicked me off the team after the season was over, but I still had the most pins of anybody. I was varsity and whatever. So I was going to get a letter if I hadn't voiced up and had stood my ground about something. He ended up getting fired after the next season. They gave him one more season, then he got fired. And, so officially, technically, I only had one varsity letter from University of Oklahoma. But so you have 19 and a half years of military. You got your retirement, man. Even if they don't give it to you, like you got your retirement. That's stupid. So, and it's almost a better story, actually. It's all on how you tell your story, like you were saying. So, shifting and then getting into trucking, you're already been doing delivery. You're reliable. It gives you the flexibility to listen to the lectures. This is like Fight Club. It gives you the flexibility to listen to the lectures, to have lots of opportunity for calls and communication while you're driving, still doing your job and getting paid basically to do that. And now you're taking it up a level from what it was to now probably like nationally driving around the country. So more money, more responsibility, more connections. And it's not so different from my story. I mean, I traveled the US for 3 years, zigzagging like 40, 50 different cities or whatever, teaching yoga and, doing all my promotions, whatever, a little more entrepreneurial and on my skills, but it affords you different things that, you don't have to worry about all the shit I had to worry about. So you can worry about the next level stuff and looking at getting into a base after you do, however much time. So maybe talk about that. Like, so what's the transition and what's the next 1, 2, 3 years look like for you?
Yes, Chris. When I was an Amazon delivery driver not too long ago, I'd be in and out of the van like 150 times a day. So when Dragon's Lair would be going, I would get like a little bit here, a little bit there, but there's one thing that I remember ACD said, and that is, it will get better. And that's what I told myself. And it did, because when I quit, I didn't even put a 2 weeks notice in. I ended up getting this delivery driver job the next day. It landed in my hands just like that. So I was thinking like, okay, I'm on the road. I can attend Enlightened Masculinity or Dragon's Lair throughout the day when it is, but what if I go for something better? And that's why this on the road truck driving job I'm transitioning through right now. And it's actually a good thing because I'm meeting with one of the top promoters and DJs in Chicago this Tuesday. And thanks to my transition, I'm able to plan another event that we have actually this October. Quick side story. Thanks to being your apprentice and coming out to a couple of VIP shows, I've done 8 shows and a festival all within a year up here in Wisconsin. And that was one huge change to answer your question. It's like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. I love music. I've seen a couple of my good friends getting screwed over. It's like, you know what? Let's all come together, bring our powers of experience combined, and do our own show and our own festival. And you know what? It hasn't been easy, but it's been humbling. It's been fun. And this higher paying job on the road, I'm still going to have someone tell me what to do, like I enjoyed in the military, but I'm going to be by myself. And that was actually one thing that I disliked from serving the most is the people, and probably the way that I let the people affect me. But I'm learning that the older I get, the more I prefer to work alone or with the brotherhood where I know we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So this job's going to allow me to listen and learn and do this while I'm on the road. Because when I was doing my Beyond Clarity calls, walking down tuning with nature, and I'd have a couple people on, normally Phoenix and Kenny, I'll tell them, you know what, we're going to be getting paid for this one day. Just like what you're doing, Chris. All these Zooms, it may take something out of you, but there's people out there who need to hear our story. And one day we're going to be getting paid for it. And we're not even going to notice we're getting paid for it because we're going to love what we do so much. So to answer your question, drive on the road for about a year, overcome the biggest financial situation I'm in because I've invested so much so far. move out to San Jose for some time, LA, and then start my own base, most likely in Florida. I say all in a matter of 2 years. So I'm really looking forward to my 40s.
Yeah. Wow. Where in Florida?
Orlando or Miami. I lived in Orlando, actually, Castleberry, 20 minutes from there for 4 years before I made the humbling move back up to Wisconsin. Thank God, because my dad had cancer, and this whole situation really taught me that it's important to take care of yourself. And it's also important to be in a network of people you can count on, and they can count on you. So I'm thinking Orlando or Miami,
Wow.
or
That's really
wherever
cool.
wherever they need us the most.
Yeah.
But wherever I go, I know I'm going to make it happen.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. So when does the trucking start?
Whenever I get my CDL, I'm still studying for that, and I'm reminding myself how good I am at taking tests. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I suck, but
No, you're IMC apprentice.
next month, well, I'm making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, IMC apprentices never fail.
That's right.
So, well, there you have it. So in 2 years, basing up, traveling the country, man, that's so, yeah, you're right. The 40s, your 40s, man, you can be living better than guys that are fresh out of college. And, you know, the guys that'll get into their 30s, they'll have maybe some resources, but they're going to go through that life crisis, and you'll be looking back on them like, yeah, man, I already surfed that crisis. I'm on the other side, man. I'm waiting for the great big wave that I'm going to surf the rest of my life.
Yeah. And in my 50s, when my retirement starts coming in, I'll actually be able to enjoy it. And I'm not going to be one of those creepy 50, 60-year-olds that don't
Oh
know.
no, you'll be enjoying it from your 40s for sure. As soon as you get into a dude, as soon as you get into a base, it's going to be the next level, because there's going to be so much engagement, interaction with the guys, just on a frequent basis, that you will face your character in deep ways and consistent ways that it's impossible not to level up. You'll level up just naturally, more than any of the people around you, just by doing that. And then that everybody would be on the same course with the same philosophies, core values, looking to make big moves, which is part of the core values. So like as a man, they're expanding their territory and everything. It's very good energy to be around. And you'll see so many new levels of potential ahead of you, even if you're 41, 42, 43, 45, 50, because of who you're around. And you'll be like that wise owl that's just like perched in the tree that, you know, the guys that you live with are always going to be coming to, because you got that life experience. And yeah, 60s, 70s. I mean, it's what the future, once you get that far out, I mean, you have your personal visions and everything, but a lot of new ideas will come to you in the time between now and then. Like, you know, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen you'd be an IMC doing this right now. So 10 years from now, it's going to be just another totally not known to you right now kind of situation. 20 years, 30 years, it's way, way out there in infinity. And so just, you know, guiding yourself and the disciplines and staying consistent, and really see that basing up as a target, and getting your situation right so that you can attend camps. Because once you base up, it's expected that you're attending camps, every camp. And to make it a sanctified base, you're going to want to do base leader training. But we have the Crusades that would definitely sponsor anybody that was legit, leading and making it happen, finding the house and getting the guys and, committed to it. So, I think attending camps and, doing what you're doing, streaming and IMC TV, and, being in communication with everybody, you're a great messenger for the tech and for the audience. And so keep it up and keep doing that. And, that's a leader quality. That's just straight leadership, and that's you, whatever, nervous, excited, and whatever you are, anxious about it. Like, you're leading the guys more than most of them are leading, maybe any of them are leading. And, you're doing that. Maybe, I don't know if you have higher expectations of yourself, or maybe you just have higher threshold for nervousness and anxiety, but, acknowledging those feelings aside, you do more and do it more comfortably than most of the guys. And that should be known. And you just do that. That's just what you do. It's not that I don't get nervous when I do a show. It's that it's just like, it's good to be done. It's supposed to be done. It's good for me. It's good for everybody that shows up. It's just a good thing. And that's just it. If I was going to drop and do some burpees right now, I'd be nervous right before I start my first one. So
That's right. Because I tell you what, I feel 10 times better than right before we started.
yeah, man. And I see the guys that are on, like Adrian, Phoenix, Geo, Fire Breather, Josiah, Miracle J, even Diamond. Are any of you streaming? Well, raise a hand. Who of you streaming? Who of you thought about streaming? Like seriously considered it, I mean. Okay, so I see 3. No, I see 2. Sorry, just 2. Okay, so what's stopping you? Let's go to Diamond first.
I feel it's just having something to say, well, seeing or having a structure to say something and sitting down and making the time. But the more I say it, it's just like I just gotta do it.
Yeah, having something to say, Yeah, you want to be inspired, so catch an inspiration. Like, lives for me started with Instagram TV, IGTV or whatever, IG Live, Facebook Live, and yeah, having something to say. I mean, you're a poet. Don't you always have something to say? It's memorized. You're impromptu go live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure that could start some conversation. Dialogue about it, Learn to ride that wave inside. What about Phoenix? Phoenix, what's up? Why aren't you streaming yet? You don't want to stream? Too busy? You're working all the time.
All right. Well, I'm going to find out how to stream without getting banned all the time, first of all, because when I did stream, I used to get banned all the time.
What about
And then,
Zoom?
Zoom, yes. I'm still keen on doing a show about sovereignty with you, actually, now that we're bringing it up.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. One of these mornings, it'll be good. I'm going to reshift my schedule around. So Phoenix is down under in New Zealand, and he has a bunch of esoteric information on, government and the financial, institutions and things like that. So
mental slavery and financial slavery, essentially.
Yeah, mental slavery, financial slavery. So, streaming about that. Like, you have an Instagram. What, you get banned when you go live on Instagram?
The last time I tried going on Instagram, they wouldn't even let me do a live.
When's the last time you tried?
About 2 months ago.
Might be different now.
It might be different now. I'm actually using a different. That's why I got 2 Instagram accounts. So if they ban me on one, then I just jump onto the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
so
you share it. You go live on one, and then you post it to the story of the other one. So then you cross your audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going live and then saving the most risky and taboo things for your Zoom calls. Learn to talk about it in an enticing way. We're going to talk about mental slavery, things that you don't know about this or that, instead of going in and criticizing this politician or that. So the sound audio checkers pick up what you're saying or whatever. And, I think as a means to practice your communication and get this technology out of you, it's a useful skill. It may not, pay the bills or whatever. So maybe you just want to do it once a week for like 10 or 15 minutes. And you could be like Phoenix's hour and Sundays right after Dragon's Lair or something or whatever. That's when Tony does his stream. But Phoenix's hour, and you have like some bullet points like Phoenix news, and it's like the news of what you should know. And it's like 15 minutes. And man, if you did that and you prepared for it, you could record like a video blog. You could post it on YouTube. You could share it in the Telegram groups. People are going to be more keen to watch you talk about it versus posting like other people's content so much, I think, for the most part, but of course we can't all remake everybody else's memes. They did a good job with it if it went viral. So that's like, what they had, but finding that way to reach an audience and connect with the audience is such a useful skill, empathizing with the audience and what can they receive right now and how can I form my ideas so that they can receive it and then inch them along, that's a skill that, some people like to be a dark horse and unknown. And so they feel like they're revealing their cards or whatever. I think it's a bit of a romantic fantasy to think that you're going to achieve mastery while playing that game. We see it in movies or whatever, and it's the guy that's the master and then retires, and so he's in the shadows. But he built his skills playing the game. Nobody just built their skills in the shadows for nothing. They turn into Gollum, and so yeah, streaming. Everybody's got something. Gio Strada just moved into base 2. He hasn't done any streaming. WTF? If I had moved into base 2 from all the way across the country and I was just getting into IMC, I'd definitely want to be streaming and telling like base 2, here's base 2, show base 2. Here's the guys I live with. I live with brothers. You guys don't live with anybody out there in Instagram land. You're wasting your life living by yourself. I live with the best friends, the most loyal friends in the city I want to live in. Like, look at this dope ass pad. That's what I'd be doing. Everybody would be streaming. To profit, For some reason, I think the Prophet and Fire Breather should get in communication. I'm feeling it's kind of like when I felt Will Rios and Powerhouse should get in communication. And you know what happened with that? That was like electricity flowed, energy flowed. And for some reason, I feel like the Prophet and Fire Breather have some communication that would pass back and forth, and a lot of energy would flow there. So, Adrian's got his stuff going on, Josiah, Master Myself. I know Master Myself is streaming. Josiah, I don't know how much you're streaming. I think including everybody in each other's streams and starting to get the logistics of that down. I'm very happy that some people showed up to the stream today live that don't normally show up. That's cool. And it motivates me further, like I said to Tony, to go earlier in the day. And let's see if that does something, if that changes things. So Diamond, I left it off at a cliffhanger, what you thought about the future. I know it's late for you, brother. So, I don't want to, push it too far. If you need to go after this, I understand. It's hard to articulate great ideas later. So, we got you at a handicap a little bit right now. But as far as the future, is it getting guys in UK into Dragon's Lair? Is it motivating those guys? Is it relocating to the Netherlands or Portugal or trying to move to the United States or, just lone wolfing it out there and maybe building it up enough to get one of us or some of us to come over there and do give you some of the technology? Or what do you see in the future 1, 2, 3 years or so?
I see stepping into that leadership role, more running towards it as opposed to either waiting for it to approach or inching back from it.
Yeah, what would that be? What would running towards it be? Like what action?
Towards it would be sharing more posts, intriguing people more, and creating that attraction so that people question or start to ask and be more inquisitive about what it is that I'm doing differently, as opposed to saying this, that, and this, or I'm doing this, or a combination of the two of them, just so that I can, one, accept myself more as a leader, and two, then say, okay, you see what, and be walking the talk and talking the talk, as opposed to having results that are maybe smaller than what I see is possible.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's always your vision of what is possible for yourself is always going to be bigger than what you have currently. That'd be weird if your vision was less than you have currently. Maybe it's less of possessions, but it's like a greater image of yourself. So yeah, you're expanding to achieve your potential. And of course you're going to get better. That's definitely going to happen. Now, attracting people with posting, is this going to be attracting new audience through Instagram, or is it going to be attracting the UK brothers and inspiring them and leading them, or what do you mean?
I feel it's sharing in the Europe group as well as sharing online, because online I feel that from doing reels I've got more attraction of people who are new people, and from doing the posts online, some audiences or in the groups, some audiences are more responsive than other ones. Some people will decide that they want to take action there and then. For others, it might be a bit in the background for whatever reason that they're going through or experiencing. And I think just from speaking right now, it's more about sharing my voice and sharing just whatever I'm feeling at the moment, or whatever wins, whatever things I've overcome, being more inspirational as opposed to being someone who just does it in the background.
I think so. I think perfecting your craft more and more, And, there's lots of ways to use that in your reels to, with captions and with the aesthetic backgrounds and starting off the reel on a really powerful phrase or a really catchy word so that it grabs their attention. People share it and, using that gift to pull attention into this philosophy and your changes and how you're changing. I think grounding the change in you and what you're going through and being able to express that poetically, not just like ideas and lofty ideas, not that that's so easy or whatever. But I think that abracadabra and that language of, how your present time physically changing will also affect more change. It'll be talking to present time. It'll be talking to reality as it is around you, instead of talking magic spells and math equations into the universe that, maybe there's a little ethereal difference between how you're talking and what's going on around you. Talking directly to it, I think that poetry, that's going to be the communing with nature exercise. And I wonder if there's some way that we can transmit. I mean, you could probably pick up the communing with nature. You've been on all the camps. Man, wait until my next communing with nature. I got it all orchestrated in my head, I think that'll really help with your communication. I could see a lot of potential with your accent and your poetry and this philosophy, and combining those into reels with a sense of aesthetics that would make you a clear base leader there. And yes, maybe do audience, and if that's the case, then we can work together somehow. Maybe you should join the IMC staff somehow. I don't know what skills you have for that stuff. But that's really good. That's all off of inspiration since February. The last 6 months. How did you find Arash? Yeah, we'll get to you, Tony.
YouTube.
Yeah, just found him on YouTube and then signed up to Dragon's Lair from there.
Yeah, watching a while, and then circumstances happened. I thought, now's the time. Just press go, join. I was watching a lot of the ones that were on the online, on the Dragon's Lair online, and then I think I'd messaged you or messaged someone else just saying, how do I get into the live classes? And started attending the live classes as much as I could, attending the gatherings, and then here I am today.
Yeah, here you are. Wow. That's what it takes. Man, I could see Geo flying over to UK and gaming in United Kingdom. In Great Britain, his Arkansas accent, I could see it. And then there's just 4 or 5 guys that go over to UK and you all get an Airbnb together and you just game for like the weekend, and hey, that's what a base ends up being. It's just like not just an Airbnb, it's like a house you can rent an Airbnb for a month, for a year, and then it ends up being basically a lease, and then just needing some like employment around that, feeding the lifestyle. And once you get the income coming in, you're living with guys that are loyal in this philosophy, then it's just build your life. And then you really, really see the importance of the discipline, the timing and schedule and the communication of the schedule with your housemates in generating this power, and so pretending like you're already in that situation. Because, I mean, you could think of it as law of attraction. You could think of it as just mental training. Being accountable for your schedule, for your timing of things, being prompt, being sharp, being ready, showing up to your life, and applying what you learn of the techniques from AZD and the schedule and the nuances and the changes, the evolutions of it, as best you can until you can make it here, or form a base where you are and we make it there. And so Phoenix, you got your hand up, and then let's open for anybody have anything to say after Phoenix, just raise your hand if it's inspired you in any way. What's up, Phoenix?
Just a quick question for Diamond. Whereabouts in England are you?
I'm just outside of London.
Just outside London. South or where? South, north?
More west.
Okay, cool. Because I got a couple of friends in Essex and Southampton and Portsmouth that I might send your way. That a couple of them are beasts already. Been trying to get them into IMC, but having someone there is a lot easier than someone from overseas. So I might send them your way if that's fine.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Right on. Good. So we it's funny. One of the guys here, he's doing calls, and he's doing the calls and the phone calls. They're cold calls for real estate, and the person answers, and he's like, "Hey, is this the owner of such and such address?" And it's like, man, I would start with, "I'm a real estate investor looking to buy property in your area. Are you the owner of blah 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 blah?" You start with that because people get defensive when you start with, "Are you the owner of blah blah blah?" So, language, right on. So, Geo Profit Master Myself is about to go through his. I need to respond to your text about the dates. So, Master Myself is coming for base leader training, base 5, Phoenix, Phoenix, Arizona, and Josiah. Are you going to be making it into that? And Fire Breather, where are you, man? You're in Seattle, I think, right? Washingtonian. I think Master Myself and Fire Breather, I feel like there's some energy flow potential there. Fire Breather, you and the Black Panthers, the IMC Black Panther group, arriving in Phoenix October 1st. Woo! Yeah, that's 3 of the IMC staff members living together. Miracle J, Master Myself, and Josiah. Is it just 3? Maybe there's a 4th one. I don't know. Rudy, Phoenix, Tony. I don't remember them all right now. Zimba. Say Zimba. Is Zay also moving in? I don't know if he's making it in time because there's only room for 5. Diamond and Fire Breather message me for Black Panthers. Yeah, if you want to join the Black Panthers. Was Black Panthers a movement in UK also? I don't know anything. I'm so ignorant of that stuff.
Not as far as I'm aware, no.
All right. Well, you join a little bit of the American culture, I guess, with it. All right. Okay. So any other inspirations before we end it here? Very special episodes of Enlightened Masculinity. We have Animal Magnetism coming up, and it's very powerful. Any changes that guys have experienced from Animal Magnet? Yeah, Diamond.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you to those of you who have shown up, and for those of you who are going to be watching the recording of this.
Yeah, totally.
And if you find, and I'm sure that you'll find something useful in that has been said here, maybe that one nugget of inspiration. I say just share that piece either on the post or in one of the Dragon Layers group or with friends, and just share the message.
Totally. I know that when Tony was talking, it reminded me so much of my own journey that I don't know if it's so much I had forgotten it. It just wasn't like in my forefront of my mind. It's not necessarily in the forefront. It's just like I see how I can use my journey as part of my story with women and men. Really just made me more aware of where I've come from in ways and details that maybe I had just kind of put aside or buried. Not intentionally like buried, but just like put aside and forgotten about. And it's very inspiring. I want to tell my story beyond clarity. And totally. Because I've never been in UK or in that position. I hear things that also inspire me, but I remember that was like my big inspiration from the show so far. So yeah.
I also wanted to go off of what you were saying about just going back to where you were. That ties in nicely with the 10 o'clock lecture that we had today as well.
Yeah, and that was so much reminded me of 2 years ago, the Beast process, when we first started this base operation here, base 1. And with the intensity of the calisthenics and the wake up calls getting earlier and earlier, there wasn't a roll call group, but there was check-ins on Instagram. It was this whole movement. It was in the heart of lockdown. So there was, a lot of fire around that. And tapping in with the pain and you running through that process. There's so many details in the process that he doesn't really cover anymore. It's part of the base, the phase 1 product on imcbase1.com, or it was the subject of 7 or 8 beast camps in a row back in that time of August 2020 and beyond, or June 2020 and beyond. And yeah, when I look back on my journey since I started in IMC, when I was in it, it wasn't so enjoyable sometimes. Looking back, it's been nothing but enjoyment. I don't know if that makes sense, but looking back on my 7 years with IMC, it seems like I just keep unplugging and I'm appreciating how free I've become. And it's not necessarily in Phoenix's way of mental slavery and financial slavery. I'm very much still a slave. I'm about to pay my taxes, and Phoenix is rolling, trying to put out a fire or something. He's like, don't pay your tax. Okay. So, but when I look back, I just see more and more freedom, and it feels really good that I've gone on this journey. Looking back, looking forward, it still looks like work. And I know when I was in it, there was definitely sufferings because I was trying to change my condition. And what was I trying to change about it? Even as early as a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, what am I trying to change about my condition? And of course, 7 years ago, there was so much I was trying to change. So yeah, just like Diamond said in relation to the lecture this morning, and really where we're going with animal magnetism, because that's the fuel for the beast, for the animal that you use, and how AZD paints a picture and describes this energy and how to access it, and how to use it to transform your character in your activities, how to use the energy by tapping in, we call it. So I recommend Animal Magnetism. That's also on imcbase1.com. And I'll see you guys on the next stream. Stay tuned. Appreciate the live audience, and live on YouTube. A bunch of YouTube people stayed on the whole time. And see you next time. Os.